Welcome back. You tuned into Inspired Afternoons with me, your host, Marriam Mia. And yes, continuing with the discussion of the communication that was sent by the executive head, Mr. Joseph Gerassi, to parents and staff of Redhill School. So it reads, as most of you are aware, there has been a flare-up of violence between Israelis and Palestinians in the Middle East. Assumptions have been made on both sides, and a variety of social media posts are being produced that support one side and demonize the other. This is an incredibly contentious and divisive issue, and merely writing this letter has put me at risk with certain people. However, given the circumstances, I feel I have an obligation to ensure that this bitter conflict, which is busy tearing people apart in the Middle East, does not do so within the Redhill community. At the outside, let me say I do not believe that this issue should not be discussed and debated. However, given the emotions currently surrounding this crisis and the age of our children, I do not believe that there is anything to be gained from having them argue and debate with each other. As such a sensitive time, emotions tend to run high and assumptions tend to be made about people based on their religion and ethnic backgrounds. Making assumptions is dangerous and can create divisions within our community and, more importantly, fragment friendship groups that have taken years to build. In the best interest of Redhill community, one that is multicultural, accepting of difference, and supportive of inclusion, I urge all families to encourage their children not to discuss this issue at school and to distance them from canceling any other student on social media, however strongly you as a family feel about the conflict and who may be right or wrong. This does not give anyone the right to bully, cancel, or be unkind to discriminate against anyone else. Should this happen, the school will have no option but to follow the process outlined in the Redhill School of Conduct. A reminder that our heads of student well-being, grade heads, mentors, and school counselors are available should our students need additional support. I would like to take this opportunity to express my sadness at the current crisis in the Middle East and hope that it will be resolved peacefully and soon. Yours sincerely, Joseph Gerassi, Executive Head of Redhill. And we're just trying to get Mr. Gerassi on the line to actually speak to him and also the circumstances behind this letter being written as well. And then, yes, there's been, while we're raising Mr. Gerassi, there has been a huge conversation and reaction to this letter. Eusebius Makaiza posted, Joseph Gerassi, executive head of Redhill School, shouldn't even run a crash. How on earth is the best pedagogical response to the first of conflict to ban your students from talking about it? Use it as a learning moment to role model as staff how to engage effectively. Imagine if schools across the world were told that apartheid in South Africa is too divisive to be discussed at all. We don't become leaders by choosing silence when faced with difficult topics. The role of a school, let alone one pretending to be one of the best in the country, is to prepare future leaders to handle conflict, not to disengage. And that is a post posed by Eusebius Makaiza. I will read during the course of the segment other Facebook posts. So I'm told by my engineer, Ponti Manzani, that we do here indeed have Mr. Joseph Gerassi on the line. Good afternoon, Mr. Gerassi, and welcome to Salam Media.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to hopefully put the letter that I put out in context. And I'd love that opportunity.
It's a pleasure. So, yes, because when I'm reading it, there's something prior seems to be have happened for this letter to come out. So, can you then just give us the context of this letter?
Yeah, sure. Can I just say one of the things that I'm very, very proud of in terms of being the head of Redhill is that Redhill is unashamedly one of the few totally multicultural schools in South Africa that have Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, Christian students on our campus. And we work incredibly hard at keeping, a sense of inclusion on our campus. And I think we're very, very well known for that. So most parents would be able to say that they send their children to our school because we have that sense of inclusion and inclusivity. Now, when I sent out the message on the Friday, and I'm quite surprised and I'm upset that it's come across in a way that some people think that I'm trying to protect certain students at the expense of possibly Muslim students. Let me state at the beginning that the letter that I put out was absolutely to protect first and foremost the social and emotional well-being of all of my students. So if I go back to Friday, and please understand that the most difficult thing for me is that I'm not on the campus to deal with this face-to-face because I'm actually on sabbatical and only returning in 2 weeks' time. So I obviously got my staff, senior members of staff, who contacted me to say that on both sides, there had been name calling, there had been, and some terrible name calling, from Jewish kids to Muslim kids and Muslim kids to Jewish kids, that was not in a spirit of any kind of debate or let's sit down and let's talk about the issues, but was rather talking, it was despicable in terms of some of the language. Now, I think a lot of this comes probably from home, where children are hearing things, hearing their parents talking about things in disparaging ways and watching things on television. Now, you said that one of the roles, I was overhearing you, one of the roles of a school is to teach children how to handle conflict. So when I sent out my letter, I am very, very willing to say that in my haste to get something out to try and quell what could happen on our campus, I might have used the wrong words, but I did state very clearly that I did not believe that this was not an issue that should be debated or discussed, but I was hesitant that at this particular time, without having given our students, as you say, the tools to handle a conflict of this nature, all we were going to get was a continuation of name calling, hurting each other. And please remember that a lot of these kids have been friends since kindergarten. And something that is happening now could destroy those relationships. And so my intent was to say that can we just for the moment, until we as a school, and believe me, the head of our judiciary is a Muslim boy. The head of our council is a Jewish girl. We've got kids from all different areas that sit on our council. We have a judiciary. We have an executive committee. We have a legislative, and these are all student-run activities, including a student president and a student deputy president who I have been in touch with. And between the three of us, we have been talking about ways of bringing in specialists who can sit down with our kids and teach them how to debate this issue and how to deal with this issue so that we can get proper discussions taking place without it becoming a situation where they start to hate one another and they start to send terrible messages of hurt to one another.
So, Mr. Gerassi, now that you've on air and you explained your intention, in hindsight, do you think that probably how the letter was penned came across incorrectly? Because yes, look, in 2014, as a parent and a parent of a PA at Parktown Girls, the issue raised when there was a conflict. Well, there was aggression as well, and Gaza was being attacked. 2014, students wore Palestinian kifayas on a service day, and there was I mean, it was a big issue, so much so that the principals then send out a notice banning any type of symbolism of any conflict situation. And I, as a parent, took offense because I felt it was being back in apartheid, being a student all over again, and I was not going to allow discussion to be suppressed, especially when the constitution allows freedom of speech for my children. I felt very strongly about it because I was taken for questioning in my youth days and speaking about apartheid. We cannot even mention ANC or any political activist's name, and then we'd be in a problem during our school days, and I was not going to have that for my children. So if that was your intention, shouldn't it have been better first to have a discussion and maybe just have an assembly speaking to the children to say, you know what, we need to engage and discuss this, but there are terms of engagement in how we discuss issues, and you discuss an issue and you don't attack your colleague, because at the end of the day we can discuss issues, but we are still colleagues and we're still peers and we're still learners, and move that way instead of a letter like this, because this does not bode well in terms of saying not allowed on on school to discuss this for now, because that is really squelling your freedom of expression and freedom of speech.
As I said right at the beginning of this conversation, I'm very, very happy to take the flack for the words that I might have used. Once again, because I am away from the school and my staff were very worried about what might happen on Monday, we had to pin something together. And the intention very much was, to kind of, can we just have a period of calm while we can put those structures together? On our campus, we discussed openly. We are probably the only school in South Africa, and I challenge you to find if there's any other school that has a full-time diversity and inclusion facilitator, where my staff have to, compulsory, meet with that facilitator once every week to discuss issues around inclusion and diversity. We have the same thing with our students, that this particular person, Odwa Ramabulane, comes in and talks to our children about these issues in grade 10 and grade 11. So we are not scared of the tough questions and the tough discussions.
Okay, Mr. Gerassi, can I just interrupt? I have a look. Many of your ulamana, your former learners, have come out strongly in reaction to this letter. They've taken to various social media platforms. I have a young student on the line who's just now there. She's also from an independent school, not Redhill, who's was a student activist as well as studying law now. Adila, she's on the line. Can she? Can I take her on the line, because she felt strongly with this issue? So just for you to get a sense of how, let's say, former students are feeling. Sister Adila, peace and blessings to you. You can go ahead. I have Mr. Gerassi on the line. Can you just give us your comment? Adila? Oh, okay. Yeah, she's coming. Sister Adila, you can go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Gerassi. I understand your point of bullying, and I understand various different issues that we are concerned by. However, how do you allow it to say, you know what, silence students? You're silencing students by saying, we're not allowed to say, we're not allowed to stand up for what we feel is right. We're the youth, we're the future. You're saying, you know what, don't have this discussion. You talk about the age of students, but the kids that are being, murdered in the Middle East are the same age. We celebrate Youth Day every single year. And why are we taking the essence away from Youth Day by not saying that, people are being killed in different countries? We talk about holocausts in history. We honestly just being silenced. And I think that it's so unfair that, yes, bullying is another issue, but are you not bullying your students by silencing them?
Mr. Gerassi, you can respond.
Unfortunately, could you paraphrase, because in the line that we've got, I couldn't hear the young lady at all. If you could just paraphrase what the question was.
So she felt that by you asking the student, Adila, let me just see if I can. Adila, can you repeat that? Let me just see if I can get a clearer line for her.
I just raised the point that I understand that bullying in a high school is a major concern. However, are you not bullying your students by silencing them?
Did you get that, Mr. Gerassi?
No.
Okay, so let me just, no, it's fine. No, it's fine. Let me just paraphrase it for you. So she felt that the youth are being suppressed. This letter suppresses the youth, especially in school. School is a mechanism of society, of parliament, basically, and the fact that you pride yourself on having such a multicultural, ethnic, religious learner population, that mimics then parliament as well. So she feels by you sending this message out, that is actually bullying students into silence, especially with Youth Day coming up. We acknowledge the right of the youth to debate, to speak about such issues. So that's her point. So she felt that this letter is actually bullying students into silence.
Okay, so I'm going to say once again that it was in no way intended to bully anyone into silence. It had asked for a period of calm so that we as a school could absolutely get together and put the mechanisms in place to teach our children how to deal with these type of conflicts. I do want to explain one thing, that although I understand that for many people, the motivation for this is to be able to have free dialogue. I have a very, very important role as the head of a school in terms of students' emotional and social well-being. And if I just allow free dialogue to take place on such a divisive issue, I could have children climbing into one another. I could have children saying things that are incredibly hurtful, and then I will be held responsible for allowing that to take place. So even today, I think you would imagine anywhere, it becomes a hotbed of throwing insults at one another, where you might have an Israeli protest and a Palestinian protest right next to each other. All that ends up happening is nobody listens to one another, and people just throw things.
So, but Mr. Gerassi, you outline in terms of that you've already. So, for my understanding is the school already has a culture of mutual respect. You have various programs in place, various facilitators in place to ensure the continuation of mutual respect of the diversity in the school culture. So I'm grappling to understand why would it be so explosive in name calling and things like that, because Redhill prides himself prior to even a new dispensation, or even just at the early start of our democracy, in terms of having inclusion in that. So I can't understand this insult calling in this volatile situation, especially as you yourself have mentioned that the school has created this culture of mutual respect. Because I live in a community in Greenside, and during our prayers in Ramadan, on the second day of our evening prayers, crime reared its ugly head by way of bean stealing. And I'm on the resident association, and I serve with people of Jewish faith, Christian faith, Hindu faith. I mean, those that don't believe it all, but there's a diverse community, and they had then decided that while we Muslims are at prayer, they will do additional patrols in addition to our security patrol. They will then do residence patrol to keep us safe while we are at prayers. And for me, that culture was created because from resident association 10 years ago, we've created this type of culture. So even now, when the issue of Israel-Palestinian conflict comes in, there's no conflict amongst ourselves, and that's what you've led us to believe in your culture. So why is this happening now that it's become volatile?
I think for the very same reason that we have exactly what you said. Within the South African community, there is no doubt that on a day-to-day basis, the Jewish community and the Muslim community get on pretty well. There's no doubt about it. But when something that has happened that is so volatile in the Middle East, where children are being shot and killed, etc., we are dealing with a new level of volatility and with anger. We have people of two communities who might have family, both in Israel and in Gaza, whose families are being killed. I think you need to understand that we're not dealing with two groups of people who live side by side and on a daily basis working together. On Friday, it was reported to me that there were some very, very ugly comments made, and on that basis, we took this decision. Please understand, and I'm saying it to you from the bottom of my heart, I am not stopping any discussion. When we have a discussion, an open discussion, which we will have as soon as I get back, that is being prepared, I invite you to come and listen to that discussion and hear that we are having those discussions. But you'll see that we will have it in a safe space, where we have mediators from the outside that will be able to come in, explain to the children, because I think you will agree with me. We want our Jewish and our Muslim students and our Christian students to be able to have at their fingertips the tools that you yourself said they need to learn before they go and say things to each other. And I'm dealing here, I'm not dealing with university students or adults. and we can see the way adults are speaking to one another on Facebook. I'm yet to see posts where people are actually being really nice to one another and kind of not attacking one another. And we're trying to give our kids those skills. I think the worst thing we would want to see by taking a chance, and all I'm saying is to give it a bit of time so we can get the
Mr. Gerassi, you know what the thing is, events in Middle East are unfolding all the time. 2 weeks time, we don't know where we're going to be heading and what's going to be happening. I mean, we have to take action now and discuss issues. So I'm sure you, well, I'm not sure if you know the student, but he was a former alumni. His name is Rehan Bayat. Not sure if you know Rehan. Rehan says to Mr. Joseph Gerassi in the Redhill community, as a previous Dux Award winner, Redhill School 2019, and an alumnus, I am disheartened at Redhill's response to the genocide being taking place against the people of Palestine. As a school that portrays itself as a multicultural and accepting institution, it is spineless to encourage pupils to push the issue under the carpet. Furthermore, the use of language such as flare up in conflict, utilizing your statement, paint a false narrative and are not in good faith. What is being done to the people of Palestine is not merely conflict, it is open genocide. By labeling a clear-cut case of genocide as a complex issue, you are one step away from validating it. This is not a political issue, it is a humanitarian crisis, and there are no sides to choose from. There is only the one side of the innocent. The murdering of thousands of innocent women and children cannot be brought down to a political or religious issue. So this is what, and you know what, he writes well, and he's a product of your school. Finally, he says, until such time that the students of Redhill are given their voice back and allowed to voice their support for the Palestinian people without fear of disciplinary action, I fear that Redhill will continue to lose my respect as well as the respect of its alumni. I urge you to rectify this terrible lapse in judgment and to do better moving forward. While Redhill want to continue in its current vein and be noted as one being on the wrong side of history, then be opportunistic and switch over when the Palestinians eventually have their dignity restored, as many have done in post-apartheid South Africa. Or does Redhill have the mental to be consistent by matching its views with its actions? And that is a question from Rehan, and he writes well. He's an activist, and that's credit to his upbringing at Redhill and brave enough to challenge Redhill as well. So, Mr. Gerassi, this is from one of your own.
Yeah, and let me make it very clear, I'm incredibly proud of Rehan, and I got on very, very well with Rehan. The issue is, yeah, you can hear from where Rehan is going, he's not specifically asking for open debate and discussion. He's made up his mind that what's happening in the Middle East is pure genocide, right? That is a one-sided view, which I don't want to...
But that is the visuals coming out. Those are the reports of people being dead. I've got academics. No, I'm not going into it. I'm saying I've got academics in Gaza. So not even that. And I've got Jewish people from Palestine that is giving me. So it's not only from that. So I'm not saying he's made up his mind. But what I'm saying is this is an activist saying this is Rehan, a product of the school. So what I'm saying, in 2 weeks' time, things have to be changed. And also, like you say, safe space. And this is the challenge of not only Redhill, all schools. But the thing is, I think another correspondent should come out, not only to the Redhill community, but to the greater South African students and community in terms of how this is going to handle. Because for me, this smacks of apartheid over and over again when I was a student. So thank you for your time, and I think I look forward to your further correspondence. And you've got our Ponti Molatsani, our CEO's number. So when you do have that assembly and that, I would definitely like to be there and to attend, or whatever safe space discussion there is going to be.
And I give you my absolute assurance that we will invite you, and I look forward to meeting you face to face. And thank you for the opportunity.
Go well, Mr. Joseph Gerassi, and he's executive head of Redhill. I've got Cynthia, who's just sent a message. I just want to get Ponti to get it back on the screen. A Facebook comment has come. I want to read a few of the Facebook comments as well. Ponti, if you can just get that up for me. we can just share those Facebook comments. So Chunara Mohammed said, "You have no right to silence. You have no right to silence a right enshrined by the Constitution." And I think everybody's feeling that way with this correspondence. Cindy Ross said, "That's not what the letter said. He wanted to silence kids. How about giving them a date to constructively discuss this? If he has the culture he claims, why is he scared?" I think Adila Sarkot also sent another message there. Let me just see if Ponti can get that for me on the screen. Yes, people upset that a right enshrined by our South African Constitution, and this is happening. Shana Day, Adil Kalskot said, by saying that you need to be ready to have this conversation, you are blindfolding and silencing your students. And I may mention to him, if this was a culture of mutual respect, then why is this? There shouldn't be this issue. So yes, please do join in the conversation on our Facebook page. Continue keeping the comments coming this, and we will then engage in the future. Is Mr. Joseph Gerassi has extended an invitation for Salam Media for myself to do. I would like to go because this is not going to happen in 2021. Students are not going to be silenced, and they have the freedom to discuss this. And yes, it is a genocide carrying on there, and it's not my opinion. This is based on fact from the visuals we get from not only Muslim Palestinians, Christian Palestinians, and Jewish Palestinians who are there who don't follow the Zionist narrative. This is from them and not for me. And this is your platform where we amplify your voices. We're going to take a short break and then we're talking what's up.